Hey guys, welcome back. I hope you're all good. So in today's video, I thought we could do an updated dupes video. It's been a little while since I did my last one and I have found a ton of dupes over the past few weeks. I found dupes for everything from modern Renaissance palettes to glow kits to the Cover FX iconic London drops. So if you guys want to hear more, please stay tuned. So the first dupe is actually what I have on my lips right now, and I actually discovered this like 10 minutes ago when I was filming this look, and it is a dupe for the MAC Stone lip liner, which I wore in one of my recent videos, and so many of you guys were asking what it was. It was literally just this, no lipstick or anything, and the dupe that I found, it's not a lip liner, but it's pretty much exactly the same color. Like I said, it's what I've got on right now. And it is this liquid lipstick. It's the Skinny Lipping liquid lipstick from W7 in the shade Danny Boy. So that is what it looks like. It does dry down matte to like what I've got on my lips right now. And if I just draw the lip liner next to it, you can see that it's pretty much the identical color. Obviously, it isn't the same sort of product. One's a lip liner, one's a liquid lipstick, but on the lips, they both look pretty much identical. And Stone isn't like your sort of average brownie nude shade. It's kind of like a brownie gray, and not too many companies do shades similar to this. So if you can't get your hands on Stone, then this is probably the closest dupe I found. The next dupe I have is for the very famous Urban Decay Naked Heat palette, which I'm sure you guys are all very familiar with, but it looks a little something like this. You've got a lot of very warm tone shadows there. And the dupe that I found for that is the Lottie London Shadow Swatch palette. This one is in the shade Rusts, I believe. And as you might be able to see, they're not necessarily exact dupes. There are a few slightly different colors. I'll just quickly swatch a color for you. Which one should we go for? Maybe this one here in the Lottie London palette and Dirty Talk in the Urban Decay. They look a little something like that. And I'll just swatch those there for you. As you can see, the Urban Decay is more pigmented, but then again, it's like 4 times the price. But if you do want the same sort of colors and you don't want to go ahead and pay the price of the Urban Decay, then the Lottie London Rust palette is probably the closest dupe I've found so far. Next, we'll move on to a few dupes that I have for the Anastasia Modern Renaissance palette, which if you guys have been following me for a while, you'll know is one of my favorites. This is what it looks like if you weren't already familiar. So the first dupe I have is pretty much exactly the same. It's not technically a drugstore dupe, but it's still super, super affordable in comparison. So, I mean, you literally cannot even really tell which one is which. This is the Anastasia, and this one here is from W7. It's the Delicious palette. They're literally so similar, even down to the shadow placement. The Anastasia has more pigment, but then again, Anastasia shadows are known for being super, super pigmented. And I'd say that the shimmers in the Anastasia are more shimmery. These kind of have like a little bit of a reflect to them, but nothing crazy. But again, for the price, there really isn't that much difference, especially with the matte shades. This palette here is what I've actually got on my eyes right now, and I think they are both really, really beautiful palettes. Overall, for the price, I mean, they are pretty much identical. Obviously, higher quality for the Anastasia, but if you maybe want to play around with some of these colors and you don't necessarily think you're going to use it all the time, or if you just want to save some money, then this W7 one is really good. So whilst I'm just on the topic of Modern Renaissance, I'll quickly touch on a few other dupes. These are a little bit more readily available, but they're not exactly the same. This one is from Primark and it's the Master Eye palette. I don't know if it has a color, but it's kind of like these warm tones, and I'll quickly show you guys in comparison. As you might be able to see, they're not exact dupes, but you have got a lot of the different shades sort of in this palette. So for example, this one is very similar to Real Gar up here. You've also got this shade, which is very similar to Burnt Orange as well, and obviously you've got a lot of pinks and purples. The only thing you're really missing is like the reddy tones mostly. But if you did mostly want a palette that kind of focused on the pinks and the oranges, then this is a pretty good dupe. And then another dupe that I think I've actually mentioned in the past, I know Revolution also do another palette. I think it's called Neutrals versus Neutrals or something. I'll leave a link to that down below. I just don't have it. But this is the, what is this even called? The Flawless 3 Resurrection palette. And obviously you get a lot more shadows in this. But as you can see kind of on the last 2 rows, you get some very, very similar shades to what you have in the Modern Renaissance. You've obviously got like a dupe here for Real Gar. You've got this pink, which is similar to Venetian Red and Love Letter. And you've got a lot of shimmers as well. So it's pretty similar, to be honest. And obviously it's a lot cheaper and you also get a lot more shadows. So that's also another good option. Next, we'll move on to a dupe for a very famous primer. This is Benefit's Professional, and I absolutely love this stuff, but it is not cheap. If you guys don't know, this basically fills in your pores like a dream. And the dupe that I found is actually the NYX Pore Filler. So it's around about half, maybe a third of the price. And it is literally identical, but I actually feel like the NYX one fills in your pores a little bit better. Obviously, since it's a primer, you're not really going to see too much of a difference because there's nothing to really see, but I can confirm after wearing both of these that they literally do exactly the same thing, but I kind of feel like the NYX one fills in my pores a little bit better. Next up is something that I feel like I've maybe mentioned before, but I have to mention it again because it's just so good. It is a dupe for the MAC Soft Ochre Paint Pot. This is what it looks like If you guys aren't familiar, you can use this obviously as an eyeshadow, but I tend to use this as a base. These retail for around about £15, and to be fair, they do last a really long time. I've had mine for so long and it doesn't seem to be going down at all, so they are worth the money. However, if you do want to spend a little bit less money, then pick up one of these. These are the Maybelline Color Tattoo 24. This is in the shade Creamy Mattes in Creme de Nude, and if I just show you guys next to each other, I mean, there really is barely any difference. I'd say maybe the MAC one is slightly more yellow and the Maybelline one is a little bit more peachy toned. I can't even get my finger in that. If I just quickly swatch them next to each other, I mean, there literally is like barely any difference, and by the time you blend it out as well, you're not really going to notice the difference at all. They also do a few other colours in the tattoos. I think one of them is either a good dupe for Painterly or Laying Low. So they do a few different colours, but if you do want an exact dupe for the soft ochre one, then this is really good. Next up, you guys knew this was coming. We have the Iconic London and the Cover FX drops. These are the most amazing liquid highlighters, but they're expensive. The Iconic is 30, I believe, and the Cover FX is 34, so not cheap. And the dupe that I found for this color especially, the original and the Cover FX one, which is in the shade Moonlight. The Makeup Revolution drops, which have just come out, these are £6, and the one in the shade Liquid Champagne is literally an exact dupe, both in terms of like formula, color, pretty much everything. So excuse all the staining on my hand, I've been doing a lot of swatches today, but this is the Revolution one. So obsessed. Then next to that, I'll put the Cover FX one, which is in the shade Moonlight. They're literally pretty much exactly the same, and even the packaging is the same as well. And then we also have the shade Original, which is maybe slightly, ever so slightly, a bit more golden, but I mean, by the time you blend them out, you really cannot notice. And they're literally, I mean, they all blend into one. They're literally that similar. Generally, the Iconic and the Cover FX are pretty much identical themselves, but if you do specifically want Cover FX dupes, then the Makeup Revolution ones are the best by far. Next, I want to touch on a product as a whole, not necessarily a specific color, but I want to talk about the Makeup Geek eyeshadows, which are these here, and I also want to talk about the Freedom single eyeshadows, which are these here. Obviously, a lot of them are different colors, but just the general idea of them, the fact that they're magnetic, the fact that you can put them into little magnetic pans, and the pigmentation in general is just so similar. If I quickly take one of these foil ones from Makeup Geek and then one of these foil ones from Revolution, they are different colors, but as you can see, they are both super metallic. I'll just pop those next to each other, and as you can see, they're just super pigmented and so metallic, and a lot of the shadows from Freedom are just completely like that. They're all really good quality, and I think singularly they cost like £2, £1 or £2 or something, but you can also get them in these sets as well, which I think cost £5, so £1 for each pan. They just come with loads of different colors as well. So if you guys did want Makeup Geek shadows, I know they're not like the most expensive shadows in the world. I think they cost around like £5 or £6. But if you want to spend a lot less, then definitely recommend you check out the Freedom ones, because a lot of them are so similar. Next up is a dupe for one of my favorite products of all time, which is of course this very sad looking IT Cosmetics Bye Bye Under Eye. I've had this bottle for over a year now, maybe coming up close to 2 years, and I love it so much. I use it every single day and there's still loads left. So the dupe that I have found, which is around a third of the price or so, is the NYX Gotcha Covered Concealer. As you can see, the colors are different. This one here is NYX, this one is IT Cosmetics, but it's mostly the actual formula and consistency that I'm concerned about. They both cover up my dark circles like nothing else. I do slightly prefer the IT Cosmetics Bye Bye Under Eye, just because it's a better color for me, but I could probably pick up a very similar color in the NYX one. But I know I do talk about Bye Bye Under Eye all the time in some of my videos, and it's not the easiest thing or the cheapest thing to get hold of. So if you guys do want the closest dupe, it is this bad boy from NYX. Next, I want to discuss a dupe for my favorite ever glow kit from Anastasia. This one is in the shade That Glow. As you can see, those two at the bottom are very well loved. And I have one product, again, it's from W7, so it's not the easiest thing to get hold of. But as you might be able to see, if I compare it to the Anastasia one, the colors are literally, and even the placement is like exactly the same. I'll just quickly swatch two for you guys and we can compare. I'll just take that shade and then that shade as well. And as you can see, those two colors there and those two colors there are pretty much identical. That is a really good dupe. It's just not the easiest to maybe get hold of. You do have to order that one online. However, the other dupe that I found today, just on a whim, is this one from Revolution. This is their Ultra Pro Glow palette, and this costs £10 and you get double the amount of shades as you do in the Anastasia, which costs 40. So what I found is obviously this shade and this shade here are practically dupes for one another. I'll just try and swatch those on my bicep. And then we also have this one here, so gold and bronze, and this shade down here. Swatch those next to each other. And again, a bubbly with this one down here, just there. And then last but not least, dripping in gold, and this one just above, and I'll swatch those just there, and you can see pretty much identical, and obviously you get 4 more shades in that as well. And this is a really, really nice highlighting palette just in general, so if you guys haven't tried this out, then I definitely recommend it. Next up is another recent discovery, and granted, this might not be the most interesting dupe, but it'll save you a hell of a lot of money. So this is the flower setting powder from Beauty Bakery, which I tried out recently, and I did really, really like it, but it's not the cheapest thing in the world. I know a lot of people do really want to try it because the packaging is very, very fun. It kind of comes in like a little flower bag, so that is what it looks like, just kind of placed on my arm. And the dupe that I have here, which I actually kind of prefer, I use it all the time, I'm just going to take a little bit of that, is from Revolution. Again, Revolution coming through with all of the dupes. Just pop that one there. So this is the Luxury Banana Powder, and this one is a little bit more yellow tone, but when blended out, I mean, you really do not notice the difference, and I like both of them. But obviously the Revolution one is a lot cheaper. I think that one's around £5, and I think the Beauty Bakery one is around like 20 or 25 pounds, so like a fifth of the price. And in general, again, this is like one of my all-time favorite powders, so I use this all the time. Next, we have a mascara dupe that I know a lot of you guys have asked me about. So this is the L'Oreal Lash Paradise, which is literally one of my all-time favorite mascaras now. I pretty much use it every single day. And the high-end version of that is, of course, the Too Faced Better Than Sex mascara. If I just show you guys the wands, I've got a little sample size here, so excuse that, but the wands are like, they're pretty much identical, as you can see. And they both basically do the same sort of thing. They make my lashes really thick, really long, really black. But this one doesn't transfer. The Too Faced kind of transfers on my lower lash line, which is why I kind of want to pick up the waterproof version, because I've heard that one is a lot better. But the L'Oreal one doesn't transfer. So I've got to say, I kind of prefer the L'Oreal. I'll then quickly touch on a dupe that I found for MAC's Yash lipstick, which is one of my all-time favorite lipsticks from MAC. If I just swatch that one, where do I even have space? Let's do it on the other hand. If I just swatch that there, it feels so weird swatching things with the opposite hand, that's weird. But this is by far like one of my all-time favorite lipsticks. And the dupes that I found for that, again, another one from Revolution. This is one of their matte lipsticks in the shade Chauffeur. This one's a bit more cool tone in comparison, but the idea is very similar, and on the lips they do look pretty much identical. And then the other dupe that I found as well is from Rimmel, and it's the shade Boho Nude, although this one isn't a matte, but the color match is a lot better, as you can see. So that's probably your closest dupe, the Rimmel one. You could always go ahead and chuck a little bit of powder over the top if you did want it to be matte, but that's the closest dupe I've found for like a matte lipstick. So there you go. Next up, I have a little dupe for the iconic London pigment sticks, which I love. You can use these as contour sticks, as foundation, concealer, pretty much anything. And the closest dupe that I found comes from Lottie London, and it's the All About That Base foundation stick. If I swatch this one here, this one is in the shade Rich Toffee, and I use that to contour quite a lot. So the pigment stick that I use is in the shade Icon 4, and if I put them next to each other, you can see they are very, very similar. It literally just looks like poop, to be quite honest with you, but it's like the perfect cream contouring shade, and blended out, again, they do look pretty much identical. The iconic London ones are a little bit more intense. You really don't need a lot of these, and you can create like a full face look, but these, as far as foundation sticks go, and especially for cream contouring with those two colors, really, really similar. And then last but not least, I'm very proud of this one. I have a dupe for one of my favorite highlighters ever, which is MAC Oh Darling. I'll just swatch it for you because it's kind of amazing. We'll just pop that one there. It's honestly such a stunning highlight. And the dupe that I have found is from Kiko, and this is their watercolor eyeshadow just here. This one is in the shade 208. If I give that one a good old swatch as well and pop it just next to it, I mean, you can literally see that these are like literally identical. I tried this out in my testing Kiko makeup video, and I was so obsessed with how this looks, and no wonder, because it is literally identical to one of my favorite highlighters ever. So if you guys did want to try out the MAC Oh Darling, but you didn't want to go ahead and spend all the money, then try out the Kiko one, order online or go in store, because they're around about £4 or something, and it's literally exactly the same. Okay guys, so those are all the dupes that I found recently. Let me know if this helped you, and let me know if you have any other dupes in the comment section down below. As always, if you enjoyed this video, then please do give it a big thumbs up and subscribe if you do want to see more of me, because I upload all the damn time. But apart from that, that's it from me. I love you guys, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.